and relive. So Netflix, man,
I have watched the Netflix.
back in the day.
Yeah, and they'd
Um,
mail it to you, and you'd be like, every once in a while, you'd be like, I didn't get that disc,
yeah,
and
and
they'd
they'd
be like,
send you
don't worry
another one.
about it.
Yeah, they'd send you another one. I think I was up to like the 3 tier program. I would rent to own, man, on all those thing DVDs, and you would get so many crazy things.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because their library at the time was like, oh my god, I've never even heard of this movie. You know, like that one movie. I don't even know if you've ever seen it yet. It's the one that's called The Bodyguard, but it's not Kevin Costner. It's what's his name from he's a director and he played in the movie Owen Bach. He played in The Protector.
Tony Jaw.
It was Tony Jaa's friend in The Protector. He played the cop, and I
Okay.
forget the guy's name. But Tony Jaa had a cameo in it, which was basically him from The Protector. But that it was just hilarious, and it was like I never even knew it existed until I saw it on like Netflix, where you like order the disc in the mail and they mail it to you. I think I was up to like the 3 tier also. I'd get like 3 at a time, and you just be constantly like burning copies and sending them back. Or you forget about them and be like, I've had Oingbach 2 for 3 months now. I guess I should send this back.
Yeah, I just would pay their fee, and sometimes I'd be cranking out what I'm burning it faster than I could actually watch it. And then
Yep.
sometimes I'd just be sitting on it. I finally canceled that, and I was using what was the damn had the monkey on it, DVD.
Oh
It
God, I
wasn't. It was an
forgot.
X copy. DVD Fab was what it was.
DVD Fab, yeah.
Yeah, and it would burn the dang copy of the movie and just watch
It'd
it.
get rid of all the shit that you didn't need. Like you could do the movie only.
Yeah, it would get rid of your commercials, and if there was different like resolutions, it would only give you the HD or whatever.
Yeah.
And then freaking it was great. And then my first streaming was like when they first started streaming, it was on the Xbox 360 fairly quickly.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was I remember the Wii had it as a disc. You actually had to use a boot up disc if you remember that.
yeah. And I was watching the older movies that are like copyright free or whatever. I forgot what
Oh
the
yeah.
um
Santa Claus Conquers the Martians and shit like that.
damn it, there's a term for it. It's free domain, local domain. I don't know. It's something like that.
Public domain.
Public
I think
domain.
that's what you think.
And
Yeah.
then so I watched like Ben Hur and apparently Night of the Living Dead is public domain. And so I'd watch them, and then it would have like every once in a while you'd have a spike where it would just freeze up, and it would go. They didn't have the dynamic resolution shit in yet, but I was like, I could see the point of this. It's like that's kind of cool. And eventually they got more and more stuff on there. I've been I've owned stock in Netflix a long time, so I keep on it for like a business side. Their main concern was, and I think it was the correct thing, is that more of their competition was going to take all the movies and shows from them, and so they needed to make their own shows. And so we got what we call the shotgun blast, the shotgun of shit, where they're just going to make every
Throw it out
fucking thing,
there.
throw it out there, make a bunch of shit, cancel half of it, or even if it
It's
was
like
good.
a lot of it's gonna be one season and you might never see it again.
Yeah, and then just put it out there as fast as you can to see what stuck, because they're at the foreground of making this subscription service. There was HBO and stuff like that up until then, but this on-demand subscription service was just
It was early on,
Yeah.
yeah. Because even HBO was not HBO Max. It was more of like if you had an HBO account, you could log in and watch certain movies on like your browser is what it was like.
oh,
It
I
was
didn't
very
even know that.
Yeah, it
no.
was kind of like how like even nowadays, like if you got DirecTV, you can just log into like the CBS app or whatever,
Yeah.
and be like use your DirecTV login to link it with your account, and it'll let you watch live on that or whatever their movies are. USA does that.
Well, you see, when I had DirecTV, this is before we're doing digital on demand. You had with your pay-per-view, and so they would have like, oh, well, this is the pay-per-view movie. You're buying it, and you have access to it for like 4 channels that are playing it at different times. So about every 15 minutes, the movie starts.
It would start up. It was
And-
basically like 24 hours. Also, you
yeah,
remember that?
yeah, you would have access to it for 24 hours, and then You could very quickly blow through freaking $30 or $40 if you just sit there and start watching these shits. About
The next thing you know, you're like, why is my freaking cable bill like $300? And this is back when cable bills were like $50.
Yeah, but it was really cool. Even then, it's like I didn't have to own the movie and I could watch it anytime I want to. It's something that's completely taken for granted nowadays.
And you would watch shit that you would never watch just because it was on there. Like you said, the public domains, you'd be like, you would just watch shit. Yeah. Just like, oh, this is neat.
You would pay the $3 or whatever to see a movie that you wouldn't want to pay the $12 to get the DVD or the VHS for. I think VHS was already pretty much gone by then, but yeah, but see, Netflix changed all of that shit, and so with their shotgun of shit, sometimes you'd find something you'd like. And then other times you're like, "Whoa, this is crap, man! This is real bad."
This is bad.
Yeah, this is fucking awful. There would be stuff like I liked Punisher, but then there was no Punisher. There was going to be a Punisher season 2, but then it was immediately canceled. I'm like, well, I'm not really going to watch season 2. It's like, what's the fucking point? There was something called Insidious. It was about this like girl who used to be overweight but isn't. It's almost like a damn like a trashy sitcom, almost like a soap opera thing. I loved it, and then the first season was great. Second season was crap. Yep, then it's canceled. It's like, so you're just kind of just hit and miss on a lot of it. I love Netflix's real-time crime documentaries. That's something that's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, those were pretty good. Yeah,
and I'm assuming those are all by different directors or shit that they just fund it, and then it just comes out. Of course, the most famous one of those is Tiger King, which is just a phenomenal. It's fucking great.
It was like one of those, like, it's like, I wonder if when whoever was filming it was like, this is going to be amazing because it's so fucked up.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and in Netflix, I'm sure it's like, they're like, yeah, we're working on this. And then I'm sure they were like, here you go. And they're just like, yeah, and then they it's like they always knew about when to drop shit too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they'll put out like damn 30 shows and movies a month, and you might not know about it. I used to love their ranking system. They got rid of it. It's fucking awful now. You would give 5-star reviews to things, and then they would end up giving you, based off what you liked, what they think that you would rate this movie as, and people just could not fucking understand that. It was based mainly on your likes. So there was overall quality to it.
I just remember you like ranking every damn thing you'd ever seen.
Yeah, everything I seen on there, I went through and I ranked it, and then it fucking made an algorithmic damn thing, and so it knew what kind of crazy shit to offer me. And when it gave me something that had 5 red stars, then I knew right then that I need to go see this fucking thing. I need to get it somehow. And that's how I found shit like Holy Mountain and other just stuff that people don't even need to damn hear, should never see. This fucking Holy Mountain is a damn freaking it's an abomination, but it's I would give it a 10 out of 10, man. And Netflix I would give it a 10 out of 10. And when they popped it out, here it is, 5 red stars. I'm like, yeah, I need that shit. Every once in a while, you just gotta got a smirk on your face when you find something like that. But their algorithm these days is fucking awful. It's like a up or down.
It's terrible. I do like how they'll have the trending stuff on there, because you'll be like, why is freaking like the movie Major League trending? And it'll be like, oh, because they just added it or something weird or something. You know, but at least you can see, like, that's where I find half the new stuff, because I don't know when the new stuff comes out.
Yeah, or you'd be surprised that people, they won't go pay to see an Adam Sandler movie, but they'll watch it on Netflix.
They'll watch the shit out, like a Medea movie.
Yeah.
You know, something that's like they'll never watch it. They'll never go to the theater. That's like the theater, man. I quit kind of going to theaters like years ago, because it'd be like, it'd have to be something good. It'd have to be something like Endgame or something.
Yeah.
But I would watch the shit out of stuff on Netflix that I would never go to a theater to watch.
Yeah, movie theaters is kind of an event these days, and you go there, you're expected to get ripped off by the $25 popcorn. The $30 down fucking giant tub of Coke. It's like,
and then be annoyed because half the people in there are playing on their phones.
Yeah. But it's just one of those things that once you got a nice TV and a nice surround sound, your movies are on demand, and maybe there's a fucking difference between 4K and then actually having a Blu-ray 4K with the 4K stream. I'm good with the 4K stream, and I can actually,
Oh yeah.
even though I have shitty internet, I can get 4K stream. I got 25 down. That's enough for 4K, and it's looks good to me, man. I don't know what the hell what other people were talking about. You know, why are you going to pay $40 for a damn Blu-ray with, you know, something you've probably done seen 15 times and it's your sixth time you bought it.
Well, there's like, you know, there's certain movies too that like it lends itself to, like most Marvel movies it would, but like if you're going to go sit down to watch, like say Clerks 3, I think is coming out later this year. Is Clerks 3 something you need to see in like ultra 4K?
No.
You know, it's like just
no
not.
one should see it at all, man. It's going to be an abomination. The reviews are out, and it's mediocre. Of course. You know.
I haven't even looked at them. It's like I love Clerks 2. I like Clerks 1 and 2, but you know, it was a different time.
Yeah. Kevin Smith sucks. He's a fraud. Said it many times. We'll continue to say it.
He broke He-Man.
he broke He-Man. Well, He-Man was on Netflix, right?
Yeah, that was a Netflix show. Both of them, they did 2 of them. I don't know if you saw the other one. It came out right after it.
Yeah, and of course Netflix would throw money around to have shit like that happen, which is, you know, there was Netflix funded a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon 2, a movie that I definitely watched. Damn sure didn't need to be made. It sucked, but you know, they made it. I think Netflix. I might be wrong. I think they funded Dynasty Warriors. There was the Dynasty Warriors freaking movie. And it's awful.
Of course it is.
But Netflix throws it out. Every once in a while, you know, they'll have a Castlevania. Castlevania is fucking phenomenal.
Oh, it's great.
And you don't even need to be a Castlevania fan to go and love that show. It's completely great, and it stands on its own. But I think that Stranger Things is my personal favorite thing that's on Netflix. Would you say that for you, or?
Probably so, because I'm trying to think of anything. I mean, Cobra Kai is on there now, and it's good, but it didn't start on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
It started on YouTube Red, if you remember that, where they were the first season was like YouTube Red, and season 2 might have been, but then that was just a fucking failure. So Netflix picked it up, kind of like they did something else. They picked up something else one time.
Was it like, the Expanse has been picked up? I don't know if that might be Amazon Prime.
It might be.
I've only watched maybe like half of the first season, but I was liking it a lot. I thought it was fucking great. I like that sort of new, like kind of sort of slightly in the future kind of shit.
Yeah.
Not where we're not fucking Star Trek or
Blade
Star
Runner.
Wars. But they're in the solar system, kind of going back and Earth, and you know, there's like shit going on with Mars and Earth and stuff. I've liked what I liked of the Expanse a pretty good bit. But
I haven't watched Squid Games yet.
I haven't watched it either.
I've heard it's really good.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny about Stranger Things is I came in very late. I watched the 3rd season before I saw any of the other stuff, because that's when I came into it. Because my daughter was watching it, and I was like, and they kind of released season 3 perfectly, where it was like right at 4th of July, and it dropped at 4th. You know, it was 4th of July centered. You know, it was about perfect for the way they did it.
Yeah.
And probably the best season overall. In hindsight, but I remember like watching it with her, and I'm like, I've heard of this, but I've never watched it. And then I watched it, and I'm like, oh, that was pretty good. When will they do another one? And she was like, oh, it might be years. And I'm like, are you serious? I mean, like it would be perfect for like another one. And they were like, she was like, yeah, there's like 2 to 3 years in between most of them. I'm like, well, that sucks.
Yeah. When the first one came out, I got to it pretty quickly. Of course, it was immediately hyped up.
And I remember the hype. I just never watched it, and it was so weird watching season 3, because it was like when you go back and watch season 1, you're like, oh my god, what freaking what's his name's an asshole.
Harper?
No, not Hopper. The kid Steve. You're like, god dang, he was awesome in season 3, and in season 1, you're like, this guy's a dick.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to watch him already knowing season 3 because you got to watch that because you knew it was coming and
you get the arc.
It was like an arc, and I'm like, oh, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, and I remember the hype. That was like everybody's like, this is like the greatest show ever. You need to watch it. I just don't remember, since I didn't watch season 1 originally. How long did they go before season 1 and season 2?
It was a decent amount of time. We were definitely hyped for season 2, and we'll get to where I think that's the weakest season. I think it's almost universally considered the weakest season, but it came out, it got hyped, and at the time, that was still long enough a time ago where people hadn't been like, oh, this is Netflix, it's probably shit.
Yeah.
There was still the optimism, and it hit where, okay, now we've got something really good going on. And what...
I mean, the marketing was all over. I mean, it had toys and stuff and shirts. And the reason I ask is because season 1 kind of ended where it was like you could be like, I could totally believe that they would never do a season 2 of that show. If I'd have watched it in real time of season 1 because of how things go, that you'd be like, God, I hope they make another season of that, Yeah. Because like I said, sometimes they'll throw a show up there and then be like, one season it's done, you never heard of it again.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think that should be... Well, Netflix is bad about that, but it should probably... You shouldn't sit there and plan out and then have, oh, we've got a 50 episode arc and whatever, and then you're just living on these cliffhangers almost to try to force people to renew your shit, and you still don't get renewed, and so you just kind of... you got the damn Twin Peaks shit going on.
Yeah, where it's just like, what the fuck was up with that?
It's like last time I saw Twin Peaks, somebody got blew up in a fucking bank heist or some shit. I've got no idea what happened. They went back, I think, 30 years later and fixed it, but I haven't seen that part. But what makes Stranger Things so cool is it's intentional throwback. And so they're pulling in references that you'll get very quickly. Especially you'll see the Goonies shit. You'll see, of course, some of it's so blatant where they're literally wearing the Ghostbusters outfits, and it's obviously a throwback to Ghostbusters.
And what's funny is I did wear a Ghostbusters outfit for Halloween one year.
Yeah.
I had the Proton Pack, and you remember where it was like the full size like toy Playmates or whoever. But I had that, and I remember I wore that for Halloween one year, and I was like, that's kind of cool.
You weren't the only one. I didn't have that, but I had I had some of the cartoon toys.
Yeah.
I had the Ecto one. I had the original 4. I had Slimer and Stay Puft. I didn't have the fire station. That was a pretty expensive thing, I think.
Yeah, that was a big freaking thing.
Yeah. But it's like you see, as you're watching it, they have the toys that you have. They'll have like 11 had the Millennium Falcon. You remember that season 1? She makes the shit fly around. There's, of course, in ET itself, they had the Star Wars characters, and so they're doing throwbacks to ET, with ET's doing throwbacks to Star. It's one of those things that kind of just works out. And at the time, the old school 80s synth music hadn't really came back yet. I think Stranger Things had a lot to do.
Oh, I think it totally did, because it reminded me a lot of like Terminator 1 soundtrack.
Yeah.
It had that feel to it, that like synth vibe, like John Carpenter type sound to it.
And I've always loved that shit. And it's whenever that damn starting thing comes on, when you see the freaking the word Stranger Things, whatever it is, or that might be when it's at the end, but I get goosebumps every time they throw that dang that synth music on.
That little intro. And as far as their music, it's like really good placement of songs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like every season seems to have like a certain songs that you're like, oh, that was perfect for right then. They're not just throwing it in because like, oh, we got to throw something in because this is an 80s song. It's like it really fits with whatever they're doing.
Yeah, I love the Separate Ways. What was it? Remix and 4, whatever it is. Some kind of like almost movie theater style.
They slowed it down. Yeah.
It's like completely over the top. Separate Ways is over the top. It's great.
That song and music video is perfect. They did the same thing for the Who's Bob O'Reilly. What was it, like season 3? They released something. It had like a slowed down version of Bob O'Reilly of Teenage Wasteland. It was like really it fit.
Yeah. Go ahead and tell them about the what is it? The shit. What did Spotify do? They did something.
Oh yeah, that was the upside down playlist, and I was shocked at how many people didn't get like notices about it.
I didn't know. I didn't know until
Like
you told me.
everybody I talked to was like nobody had any idea. I thought it was the coolest thing. But on Spotify when season 4 came out, since they and of course this is spoilers, but when they had the song that brought Max back out of the upside down, her favorite song, which was that Kate, what's her name, Kate Bush. And it's like that's one of those '80s songs I barely remembered. Also, like I remembered it,
Yeah,
but
I
it
don't
was not.
remember it.
It was not like it wasn't like Papa Don't Preach from freaking Madonna. It was like we're gonna pick an obscure '80s song that's really really good and it fits with the show. But they did a upside down playlist and it was a mixture of the Stranger Things soundtrack. So like it had the Clash on there and stuff, but it was also a mixture of songs that you had listened to, and it like supposedly like the first one would be the one that would bring you out of the trance or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. Like you'd be like, oh, of course mine was like really fucked up. It was like it was a Willie Walker Jr. song like "Finger in My Butt" or something like that. Of course, because I'd listened to it like one time, 100 times in a row. But it was an interesting little thing because it was like you would go through there and be like, I remember listening to this song. And it's like that's a cool song. Or it might be some like theme song from like some movie or something you listen to. But really cool thing. I wish they'd advertised it more because everybody I talked to like had no clue they did that.
Yeah. It mixed. The whole thing mixed some of your stuff that you would like for Spotify, and it put in 80s stuff from them too. It's freaking great, and I love that. Thank goodness that Separate Ways remix thing was on there on Spotify, so you just put it on your favorite list and just could listen to it.
Oh yeah, because that was great.
Yeah, but yeah, I was immediately like, "This is fucking great." I think the season 1, I think Winona Ryder got the chief villain, but I really liked her character too. It's just she came off as neurotic as fuck. Just
yeah, and it fit too. Like you pretty much got pretty early on of like her the gist of her character.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you got it. It's like they clearly didn't have a lot of money, and her son is friends with families that are probably middle class, and he doesn't really fit with the other 3, but yet like he does.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like it's one of those like it's a class thing, but like to them it's like they're just all friends. And it was the way they did that because like that was a lot of the '80s, stuff like that. But yeah, she kind of came off as like she's a single mom trying to do the best she can. She's got one son in high school that's kind of a not really a fuck up, but not really motivated probably. And then a son that would be considered special, I guess. I forgot how she said it. She said he's a.
I can't remember what it. I know what you're talking about.
She says it in 1, and then they say the same thing about a character in season 4, and I was like, that was not accidental. That was on purpose.
Yeah.
Emotional child or something like that. It's the way she said it, but they said the same exact thing about one of the characters in season 4, and I was like, yeah, that's interesting. They said that.
He's kind of I don't know.
He's sensitive.
Well, they were all nerds. All 4 of them are nerds.
Yeah.
But I like a pansy kind of thing, and so it's one of those things where we all know that, especially you're trying to find a way or kind of finding who you are, and you're just you just like what you like, and this is how it's going to be. And his dad is an asshole. I can relate to that real good. but yeah, and they're divorced, and it's one of those things where she's just trying to raise them on her own. The house is kind of like out. You get this. Well, you feel like it's out in the middle of the woods. I really don't know exactly how this all lines up, but
it went for sale like this week.
The actual house.
The actual house is online for sale, so which I'm assuming they're probably done filming there because, and now that they'll be probably back in, for season 5, they probably will have no reason to use that house since they moved out. But no, it's like I think it's Lafayette, Georgia. I think like $300,000.
Oh, that ain't that much. Somebody's gonna buy that shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the buyer's house or whatever. I just saw it like I think today or yesterday. Literally, it just like they just went up on sale.
It's probably already done, man.
Oh, it
Why?
probably
Why
is.
the fuck wouldn't you buy that house if you had especially if you had the money? Or other than fucking people coming to go see that shit as like a tourist attraction kind of thing. But it plays a pretty good role, that house itself, because that's where the lights
Oh
and
yeah,
shit
a
are.
lot of shit. Yeah, a lot of shit happened in that house.
Yeah.
But it set her up to be like a character that everybody else in town kind of looked at like, oh, poor what's her name, type that type of character. Where it's like they didn't really take her serious. Of course, they think she's crazy. Even what's his name, Hopper, is kind of like looking at her like, like freaking no big deal. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just she did a really good job of coming, and that was kind of like, I wouldn't say it's her comeback, but she hadn't really done a whole lot. I mean, she'd done stuff, but not like to that level.
Yeah.
In a long time.
Yeah, you picked the right fucking role, and so I've always liked Winona Ryder. She's great in fucking Stranger Things. She's one of the, her and Harper. I don't remember that guy's actual name, but freaking Harper is just awesome. And I think it was like as early as like episode 5 or something. He's kind of like.
You get the gist of him really quick.
Yeah, he's kind of like, I don't know. Well, you get the daughter. His daughter is gone, and that's clearly got him fucked up. And then he's just kind of sleeps around. He's kind of a hoe. And then he's eating donuts. He don't really give a shit. And but when he starts caring, he immediately goes to the fucking super secret lab. I thought
yeah,
was
he don't
ridiculous.
even waste any time. He's like,
yeah.
Fuck this.
Once he decides he's going to do that shit, this is how it's called. He just breaks into that shit. It's like, what the fuck? You would have figured that would have been like the final damn thing of them actually going into the lab. But no, he just goes in there.
And he goes in there so nonchalantly of like, I'm going to BS my way through this as fast as I can. But as soon as I can't, that's when he's just going to start hitting people. Yeah. And the show really takes off really fast. I mean, it's like in the first, because the first episode is basically, Will disappearing, and you're kind of like, okay, they're going to spend an entire season trying to figure out this mystery or whatever. But then by the third episode, you're like, oh shit, like, no, this is actually kind of cool.
Yeah. Once it gets going, it goes pretty fast. I think 4 has a problem because it doesn't do that. But I think the pacing for 1 and 3 are great. So,
oh yeah.
But so where the hell will we even go now? I guess I'm just looking. I wrote down the fucking characters.
All 97 of them.
Yeah. What do you think of Billy? Billy's the
I know who Billy is. I just, it's one of those things of like, they set him up as an asshole in season 2, early on, of kind of like basically being, I guess you'd call him like a racist, kind of, sort of. I mean, you got the impression that he didn't want her hanging out with Lucas because he was black, I assume.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of the impression I got. But also, like, he just seemed like, I don't know if he just did. I don't think he liked people, period.
Yeah.
Even no matter what their color was. He's just kind of like a straight up asshole. Like, and then later on in season 3, you find out like he had a mom that died or whatever. It's like you're supposed to feel sorry for him. And I mean, he was fine. It seemed like it was like one of those things like, my dad remarried, I don't give a shit. I got a stepsister that I really don't give a shit about, but I kind of give a shit about. Like, I care what she does. I just don't give a shit about her.
Yeah. I think he was a pretty damn good villain.
He was interesting.
I was always worried that he was going to, I think he did hit Max. I was always worried he's going to beat the shit out of her or something like that. It was always something. You didn't never quite know what he was going to do.
You didn't know what type of person he was. Like, it's one of those things of, you could just tell he was unpredictable.
Yeah. Of course, most of the freaking upside down creatures, they're just monsters. There's nothing to them besides being monsters. But with him, it was fucking. It was there's a person here, and this guy's kind of just he's like loose cannon. You don't know what the hell he's going to do next. And I think
it's kind of like I thought they kind of paralleled it in season 2 and season 1 pretty well. So you remember it toward the end of season 1 where Steve shows up, where he's kind of stopped being an asshole for a minute.
Yeah.
and they're like, you need to get the fuck out of here because they're trying to kill the whatchamadigger. But he shows up and it's like he's like, what the fuck's going on? But he immediately is like, well, I'm on your guy's side. Whereas like he shows up, they're not really fighting the Demogorgon or anything like that. They're not fighting anybody, but you get the idea that even if they were, he wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He'd still be pissed. He'd still be like, I don't give a fuck about that thing. I'm here to whoop somebody else's ass.
Yeah. I noticed that kind of too. I think he ended up being probably the highlight of season 2, and of course he's fucking just terrifying in season 3. Where he's clearly on some, he's possessed by the fucking thing, and he's this, what is this thing he's feeding in the damn barn or whatever it is. It's great. It's almost like kind of like it's definitely like a pod person type thing.
You could tell that's exactly what they were going for. But it's like, isn't it in season 3 where they go over to that one house? God, I forget what character it was. Was it like?
Are you talking about when he went to the house with the lifeguard girl?
Yeah. He's like, you remember, like they showed Max and what's her name showed up there looking for her, and it's like they're just sitting there having dinner, like nothing happened, and it's just those two being delightful as hell, and there's something fucked up going on, but they're just both being delightful, and then they leave, and then those two end up killing the parents, and you're like, yeah, you knew something was going on.
Yeah.
But it was just it was part of that whole like, is he serious, or is he possessed, or is he just fucked up in the head? Because you don't know.
It's great. I really like him as a villain. It took a while for that. What was it, number 1 or Vecna or number 1?
Whatever.
Yeah, who's the other kind of only the other really person is like a villain besides Brenner. But but I think Billy's been honestly better than Brenner and Vecna as far as a villain to me. And it was something that I was legitimately scared of.
It's like he was more relatable.
Yeah.
Because like we've all met assholes like that. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just where they're just loose cannons. We've all met them. We've all known them. I've never met a Brenner or a Vecna, but I've met a few fucking Billies in my life. I mean, it's like I've met a few Billies where it's just like the fucking damn. You don't know. They might slap the shit out of you as soon as say hi. You don't know. And he really did feel like an '80s guy too.
Yeah, like the Lost Boys. God dang it! What's the guy who's in the Lost Boys?
Shit, Ralph Macchio.
You
have to be more specific. There's so many of it there.
He was in the Lost Boys, but he's also in Stand By Me as the bad guy. He's on 24. What's that guy's name?
Oh, God, I'm having a blank.
Shit, I ain't got enough coffee in my brain.
I know exactly who you're talking about, though. But he was the 24 actor.
Yeah, that dude, that guy. He reminded me of that guy who was, he was in fucking Stand By Me. It's like just this shit lord, way worse than Biff. Like if
Keith Sutherland.
Yeah,
the young. I was having a brain fuck on that one.
Yeah, and Stand By Me, he pulls the knife on those guys, and then,
on the little kids. It's like we just want to see a dead body, man.
Or he does the chicken that runs the truck off the road. Just something that just takes a fucking couple of seconds to just cement this character as a shitlord. I think Billy is like the shitlord. Stranger Things.
Like I said, even in season 2, they were setting him up to be like, this guy's an unstable asshole. And then, they redeem him at the end. But that's kind of one thing they do great about characters is they make you think twice about characters.
Yeah.
A lot of times. Like with Steve, it's like, I remember when I watched season 3 and I go back and watch season 1, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's a complete dick for somebody to be so freaking cool and hanging around these kids in season 3.
Yeah, Steve is fucking great. He's one of my favorite characters. But there's hints even in season 1 that he's not just a complete dipshit, or at least he's saying he's not.
He's just hanging around dipshits.
Yeah.
That enabled him to be a dipshit.
Yeah. But he's also becomes kind of the comic relief, and him and Dustin just fucking awesome.
They're perfect together.
Yeah, it's great. And then it's always the highlight of whatever he's going to do. He's going to get that bat with a spike in it. I mean, shit's gonna be settled, man. He's got a spike in his bat.
He's gonna get beat up, you know.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things like he's never afraid of it, but like he knows he's probably going to get his ass whooped in a couple of situations, but he will go in like full blast into it.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't think they've really shown much of his friends ever since season 1 either. I'm sure they've been around somewhere.
They're not his friends, so you know.
Yeah, exactly. So they're not even there. That's like Barb. It's like there's always one character that you know how they always do it. It's like their name always starts with a B. And you can't help but notice it's like Barb died in the first season. The second season was Bob. The third season was Billy. The fourth season was Brenner. So
I didn't even pull that. You're going deeply in the lore, man. Here.
No, it's just they're always start with a B because everybody in season 4 was like, well, who's going to fucking die? It's like it's got to be somebody that starts with a B. And as soon as they brought Brenner back, you're like, well, his name starts with a B, and it would be fitting for him to die in this season.
Yeah.
Since he technically didn't die in the first one. But it's like Barb was just she was there. She was a means to an end. She was not that interesting of a character, which I think probably played well because, you know, they kind of played it off like nobody gave a shit what happened to her. You know, and that probably fit well, but she was just so forgettable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, Nancy's supposed to be the goody twos, you know, good girl, and so that's why she's friends with Barb. And then she's going to have a chance to, you know, kind of let loose or go off and, you know, be with the wild kid, Steve with the hair. Yeah, be with the Steve with the hair. It's going to drink a beer, going to shotgun a beer, and, you know, going to get pushed in the pool. Oh man.
Yeah.
But
it was the 80s.
I like Nancy a pretty good bit too. She's another character I like. She's always into shit. She's the one to be the first one that's going to be into shit.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, I season 1 I liked him pretty good, and season 4 where he's kind of like just the pothead or fuck up.
He's just there.
Yeah, it's just.
I think in season 4, if they should have not had the freaking long-haired hippie pothead in there as much.
Argyle, the pizza guy.
Yeah, maybe even. I mean, I think they should have had it where he stole Argyle's van and Argyle stayed back in fucking California, and it would have given more for him to do with Will and Mike. It's like they didn't need that extra character in there.
Yeah, I think the main problem with Stranger Things is all the way around. There's too many characters, especially in terms of season 3 and 4.
Yeah.
But, you know, are you going to kill off the kids? It's like, are you going to kill off the teens? It's like, no, not really. That's a big thing. And what happened to Max at the end of 4 is actually a big deal. And so we won't find.
I honestly kind of thought they should have killed her off earlier in that season.
Yeah.
When she was in there, it's like, that would have been a good fitting in for her, but at the same time, it's like, they wanted to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Because clearly, it's like, I imagine in season 5 that she'll be woken back up. Maybe she'll be like, you know, blind or whatever, but she'll still be alive probably.
Yeah.
Or
be able to see the upside down.
Maybe so.
Now I can't remember where. I can't remember the exact specifics of how she got blind. I remember getting blind.
She got her eyeballs poked out or whatever.
Was that in Vecma's little area, his house?
Well, yeah. Remember, she started floating in his house, and the first thing that would happen was all their arms. So basically, she had 2 broke arms. And 2 broke legs.
It might be a Matrix 3 thing where she could see in the upside down.
Yeah. I'm sure that would make logical sense because they definitely pull from a lot of like pop culture. I mean, season 4 very much felt Nightmare on Elm Street.
Well, it has, Robert Eggman in it as
exactly.
Victor Creel.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like because season 3 very much had that like pod people feel to it, so you can tell it's
not even that. You had Terminator because he's being chased by that Russian
by the dude that looks like a freaking like he would be a knockoff Terminator.
Yeah. He honestly looks like there was like a throwback scene in Terminator 1 where where Reese is remembering one of the Terminators sneaking in and killing the dogs. It looks like that guy.
It looks like that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Because
And
it was all about the dogs being able to tell them apart after a certain point.
And there's bits of season 2. Well, I mean, there's bits of it always in season 1, but season 2, when you're in the pumpkins and shit underneath the ground, it's kind of an aliens type feeling to me.
Yeah.
Of course,
season 2 is definitely got to be the weakest, but at the same time, might have had the best season finale.
Yeah.
Like one of the best ones. Because that scene where she walks in after throwing that freaking dog through the window, it's like, that was pretty. They always had really good entrances for people. You know what I'm saying? Like Hopper in season 3, where he steps on the thing that she rips out of her leg. It's like they always have like really good, like when they meet back up. There's always an ultimate meet back up where they all kind of, which I thought they messed up in 4. I think they should have spent less time in Russia and got back just in time to like, where, you know what I'm saying? Instead of being like everything happened and everybody showed back up.
Yeah.
I think I would have tightened that script up where they all got back just in time back in town, and had some big old massive, battle, melee, whatever. They could have had Hopper and Joyce and Murray have to go in the Upside Down to help, the others get the hell out of there.
But then you don't have Harper killing that freaking Demogorgon bullet time with a sword, okay?
It was a Conan sword, okay? So he could have just put it in. He's like, I picked it up, like, I picked it up and brought it back in our little helicopter that was missing a spark plug because none of us knew what a fucking spark plug was. From the fucking peanut butter cells. But it's like, what do you think happened to those two guys as soon as they got back in America? You think those two guys were just like, we're going to live in America now? Because they clearly can't go back to Russia. And if they stay in America, they're going to get arrested because they're going to be considered Soviet spies.
Well, I didn't write down that one guy. the other one's name is Dmitri.
Yeah, the one that was trying to help him out.
He got shot, right? Dmitri's dead.
I don't think Dmitri got killed.
I can't remember now.
They both were in the helicopter when they came back to pick him up after he sliced off the Demogorgon.
All right. I wanted to thought that Dimitri got killed. Well, I'll have to watch them season 4 before 5 comes out again. But hell, it's so damn long, man.
That was just it. Season 4 to me was like, I think what it had, they had to stop filming halfway through pandemic, if you remember.
Yeah.
So it's like, it probably should have came out like a year ago. Or, because I know that they got really pushed back with all that. If you remember, they had to stop filming, and they still had like 6-7 months to go. So it was like a 6-7 month delay. So it's like a whole year. But I think what their idea was, it's been so long, because it's been like 3 years or whatever. I think the idea was, we've got so much shit, we're just going to throw it all at you. Just give it all to you. Because they were really long episodes. If you remember, like a couple of those episodes are like hour and a half long.
Yeah, the last 2 are, I believe.
I mean, I think the shortest episode was like an hour and 15 minutes. So it's like they really threw a lot at you, which was fine. But I think they could have tightened it up a little bit. Because every episode is a build up to the last episode. That's really the entire season.
Yeah.
Even when they split it, you remember where it's like they did the first half, and then what was the second half was like, what, 2 or 3 episodes?
I think it was only 2, but they were like 4 hours total at the end.
Yeah, it was like 2 hours. They were both like 2-hour episodes. But what was funny is like I thought like they had set it up like, oh, Eleven's got her powers back, blah, blah, blah. So as soon as we get into that next to the last episode, we can start going. Because they spent way too much damn time in that lab, and they spent way too much damn time in Russia. And even the next to the last episode was almost like a filler episode. You know what I mean? It was like nothing. I mean, they killed off Brenner in it, but it's not like they actually made any progress one way or the other. So it's like the entire season was built up for the last episode, which was great. It was a really good episode, but there's really no reason to go back and watch any of the previous episodes before that last episode again. Mm-hmm. But the same thing can be said for season 2.
What do you think about the boys are 12? What was she called? 12, and her name was Kali. I think Kali. And she hasn't been mentioned again.
I think there's a reason for that.
That might be one of the weaker points. We're punks. We're cool punk, 80 punks.
It was like it's like they all had different powers too. Like you know what I mean? Kind of like was they did that in Star Wars novels for a while. I think it was Kevin Anderson that when he wrote some of the later expanded universe, that like certain Jedi's had better abilities, and it was almost like they were the X-Men. Like
Yeah.
this one can control the water better than this guy, and this guy can freaking control air, and it was kind of like, do they all need to be that much different? Maybe they're just all telekinetics at varying degrees, because you really kind of got that impression in season 4 that was the basis. There were telekinetics at different levels.
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't see anybody in season 4 that even remotely had anything different going on than what 11 and 1 had going on.
Yeah, it's she had, what was it, the ability to trick people.
Mind fuck your ass.
Yeah, visually, but it's probably the weakest point of all of it. I just don't think it landed right. But you know,
Not yeah, and I think that's why they never brought her back. It's like because of that. Now I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere in season 5 they try to tie that in, just so they can be like, hey, we can make this not suck.
yeah, I think a lot of it also has to be. It's not in the local town. It's in the city.
Yeah, it was like it's almost like when you watch a TV show like ER. I used to watch ER back in the day. And they had this one episode where one of them goes to this old small town in the middle of Hickville, and it's like not in the actual hospital, it's in some hick town, and it just never really felt like an actual episode of ER. You know, it'd be like having an episode of Cheers where they weren't in the bar at all. Like they just never went to the freaking bar. They went bowling one day, and you'd be like, that was weird.
You know what? That's probably more it than anything else. Now that I think about it, you weren't.
It was just different.
Yeah.
You were in a totally different town. I mean, it was a town. It was freaking Chicago, if memory serves.
Yeah.
They did need to see her. They needed her to go see her mom, but I don't think they needed to turn an entire episode of that in there. You know what I'm saying? They could have worked around it.
Yeah.
I have heard that they were talking about doing spin-offs that didn't involve the rest of the characters. Like, you know, after season 5, maybe they're going to spin off into that. Who knows? You know.
That don't seem like something interesting, but
I don't think I would either, because it's the characters that make you interested in it.
The characters, the throwback, the town. That's where it's. You know, you're almost expecting this like sitting there trying to think about, well, what else are they going to pull from the 80s?
Chernobyl.
Die Hard. Could you do
Die
that?
Hard?
Fucking Die Hard. When you're in the house. You're there. The whole town is taken over by the critters, but somehow there's a magical tower. it's a tower in there, and you're in the tower. We can't let the enemies get in. I don't know, man.
Oh, you could always pull from critters. Period.
The fucking they just start rolling around and eating people.
Yeah, they start rolling around and eating people. I mean,
fucking,
you can technically do that. It is kind of weird because like that's what was weird about the season 4 ending was kind of like there was always like in season 3, you know, when it ended, they kind of like, oh, there was a massive fire in the mall and that's why everybody died and nobody knows anything that's going on except for there being a massive fire. And then in season 4, you know, it's like, well, there was a massive earthquake, and it's like, this is a little bit more than a fucking earthquake. Like,
the goddamn ground is splitting down the
middle of town. So it's like it really separated itself of like, okay, how stupid is these people in this town to you know what I mean? It's like it was very different. It was like, oh, this is out in the open. Like you might see some of these fucking bats and shit flying around in the the actual town.
They're earthquake bats, all right?
Yeah, that's what they're mole people. The mole people are coming out, you know, the Morlocks or whatever. I thought it was interesting. The story of 1 was interesting. That I didn't. I imagine I could see some people tripping on that, but I didn't really have. I thought it was fine. It makes sense why Brenner's so like obsessed with like these kids, because he's like, it's almost like I started with this one. Now let's see if I can find another one.
Yeah.
You know, type of like that. That was my Anakin Skywalker. And bad shit happened. It's like, but maybe bad shit doesn't have to happen. You know.
Yeah, I felt it was done pretty good. There was a couple of things I should have predicted that. When I knew that guy as soon as he was there. That I knew
he was too obvious that
he was going to be something there was something related to him.
Yeah.
I didn't immediately prove that was going to be actual Vecna. That actually kept me going for a second. I thought, but then it was, and so it makes sense. So you finally got like a person or a reason because
for all
other
the
than
shit.
yeah, before then it was just like evil, or it was just we're from a different
Alternate
world.
dimension.
Yeah.
Alternate dimension shit.
Yeah, and I almost got sort of the impression that when one is sent to the Upside Down, that he transforms it by being there. He finds
it's seen.
he finds he does find the Mind Flayer thing was probably always there, but I think him going there might have changed that area or something. I don't know, or where it starts mimicking the town. I don't. I might be.
Well, that's what I found. It was interesting when they realized that like it was still like 1982 in the Upside Down when they started looking for guns and shit, and they're like,
yeah,
this is from like 82. So you get the impression of like it's frozen in time.
Yeah, then why exactly? Because I don't think
why
wasn't when he was
exactly
thrown. Was he? That might have been when he was thrown back there.
Was because I have a feeling that's when he was thrown back there. Because like, I mean, there's always that thing of like 11 not remembering it, but it's like PTSD, whatever. She blanked her mind out, or maybe they blanked her mind out. Who the fuck knows? Clearly, they had some form of technology of that. They had that chip in him, so they had stuff going on in place. Because like it shows all those kids getting killed, but like at the same time, it's like how far down the line of her doing that did was it like weeks, days, years? Probably not years, but you know what I mean. You get the impression it was like somewhere in that same vicinity of time.
Yeah, so he gets thrown back into this hell or whatever it is. He finds the thing to serve, and then I'm thinking that the entire world just kind of is created then. I could be fucking wrong, and then it's probably, you're right, it's probably it happened in 1982. That's why it's frozen in that area. There's probably some lore guys will be like, you guys got all that shit wrong. Well, hell, we'll find out in season 5. But
yeah, we'll find out in 7 or 8 years.
So yeah.
Because it's like one of those things. There was always a lot of time to speculate for season 4 because it was so long. And if you remember when season 3 came out, they released a trailer, not a trailer, but a little snippet to let you know that Hopper was 100% still alive. Not that long after season 3 came out. It was within like months or something like that, wasn't it?
I thought. No. In season 3, at the very end, they go in and they're at Russia.
But they don't say.
They don't say. They say they're American. And so
they say the American. It could have been anybody. Now you speculate it was Hopper, but they released a thing on YouTube. That was him working on the train thing. If you remember that, and it was like I think like within 6 months of season 3 coming out, it was like, oh shit, he's definitely 100% alive. No red herring, which you kind of didn't expect them to kill off Hopper anyway.
They wouldn't have. You knew it was Harper because they wouldn't have purposely.
They wouldn't have bothered. They wouldn't have bothered because people. I remember people at the time were speculating, is that Brenner? It's like maybe they got Brenner, and it's like, he could still be technically alive, but I don't think it would be too much of a red herring for them to throw that out there.
Yeah. What do you think about Murray? Murray's the
character that I didn't think I would actually care about, that I actually like.
Yeah.
I mean, because honestly, I thought he was stupid in season. Did he get introduced in season 2, or was it 3? It was 2.
Shit. I think it was 2.
It was when it was like when they were trying to, because her, Nancy and what's his name, Jonathan go to see him, and he was like, y'all two just need to fucking get it over with, basically. And I forgot what they were hunting for in season 2. They all split up.
They always have a plot. There was a plot reason to go talk to him because he was like a conspiracy guy or some shit.
Yeah. And it was like, that character's kind of annoying, but like, a little Murray goes a long way. And then by season 3, you're like, oh, he's really cool. When they get him, and Lexi, whatever his name was, that was another character of like, who gives a crap? But by the end of the season, you're like, don't kill Lexi. He's awesome.
He likes his strawberry or whatever, cherry.
He likes his strawberry, man. I mean, that whole conversation where like they're like, here's your keys, get the fuck out of here. And they're like, what are you doing? He's like, he'll be right back. And you remember it's like Hopper's a fucking cop and he's ex-military. He knows exactly what that guy's thinking. He's thinking, if I go back, they're gonna fucking kill my ass, because they killed that dude right there at the beginning of it when that thing failed. You remember like the first episode of season 3. So he's like, they're just gonna kill my ass if I go back. Yeah. It doesn't matter if I told them anything or not. They're just gonna kill me. It's like, and it's like he's sitting there and he's thinking it. He's like, it was just so funny because it's like, yeah, he had no other option. But by the end of that season, you're like, that character's cool, man. And it made you hate the Terminator guy even more. Like, you're like, fuck him.
Yeah, a lot of those side characters are freaking great. Too many characters overall, but I still like the side characters. I'm trying to think about one besides Kylie that I don't like. Maybe I'm just super fanboy.
I could live without Argyle. I thought the peanut butter smuggler had a little too much screen time. I could have done with a little bit less of him. He was fine. Who would have thought Murray would actually be a badass? That was kind of entertaining. I mean, because you're full on expecting like this is not going to go. I mean, like you knew that like, they'll subdue him, but like it ain't. But no, it's like that dude's actually really good. It's really cool. Like I said, he's like one of those characters you're like you just grow to love. You're like, oh, he's awesome.
What do you think about Erica? That's Lucas's sister. That's the little black girl that's like sassy.
I thought she was fine in season 3, and I thought they used her just enough in season 4. Because she could get on your nerves, in the right situation. But I liked how they, like when they were trying to find the Dungeons and Dragon thing, and I love the fact that they used it streams Come Play With Me, because I think I'm the only person in history that remembers that fucking song. It was in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure when they're running through the mall. It's fucking awesome ass song. The only good stream song ever written. So the idea that they used it was kind of like, that's fucking awesome. But it made sense for them to go get her, and it worked perfectly, especially when what's his name, and I'm going blank on his damn name, the one that everybody loved after about 2 episodes, the metalhead,
Eddie.
I don't know, God, that's just sticking my head real easy. But anyway, I was going blank on it. But like I thought it was perfect for them two to meet up. I liked it when she met up with the bully that was from season, the asshole jock from season 4.
Yeah.
His demise was kind of like under noticed also. Like I saw people online didn't realize like, oh, that fucker got obliterated when the freaking the crater opened up. If you noticed.
Yeah.
He was laying there and literally just got obliterated, and it was like, yeah, fuck that guy. Because it was almost like one of those like, Jesus, what is this fucking guy's deal? It was just kept going and going, and it's like, what an asshole. No redeeming art to that at all. Like there was one of those like, no, this guy needs to fucking die. He's gonna get fucking backs killed or whatever. I thought Lucas stood out in season 4 better than he's ever stood out also.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because I mean, he was great in season 1, and he was good in season 2, but as a plot device to get Max in. You know what I'm saying? He was good there. Season 3, he was just kind of like an added-on character. Kind of like how Will was in season 4. Season 4, Will was kind of like he's just there.
Yeah, just added on, added on. But in 4, he wants to be. Which you all saw that. It's like, I want to be a part of the cool kids now. Now that we're in high school or whatever it is. And so I want to be on the basketball team. But, and I thought he was going to miss that shot. And then just, but it's just
like, feel like I'm a fucking failure. God damn it.
No, you make the big shot from bench.
I didn't realize that nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, obviously people gave a shit, but his friends didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, it was one of those things, like, that's all fine. And it's because I remember he was like, if I get cool, then I can hang out with y'all and y'all be cool. And they were like, we don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Which was very much like reminded me of high school of like, we didn't give a shit if we hung out with popular people. Like, why would you? You know what I mean? It's like, it just wasn't a big deal. And I thought that was really relatable and realistic of like who cares? Do what you want to do.
That would be the majority of people. Well, not really.
Yeah,
There's plenty who were the popular, but the majority is like, I ain't gonna hang out with these fuck nards.
yeah. Like we don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But there were also plenty that wanted to be popular too, and I was like, I could see it, and I could see that character being like, yeah, I could see him trying to fit in. I always wondered what was up with the counselor. I thought maybe might get tied in. I wondered if she was like possessed, because like she was obviously he was going through. He was using her files to find people that he could like prey on.
Yeah.
I forgot. And then somebody online, I don't even remember, but somebody online had posted that she actually had a necklace on the whole time that had like a clock on it, like a grandfather clock. And I'm like, they do stuff for very specific reasons. I can't imagine that was a random choice.
Yeah, but is she even still alive? I can't remember.
Who knows? I mean, because people disappeared in the fucking town. And it's like Eddie's dad. Like you would see him and be like, I recognize that guy from like 5 million things, but I can't think of his name. Yeah. But the actor that played him, like you'd seen him a million times and stuff. Which I thought he had a really good scene at the end of it too. With him and Dustin. I like Maya Rudolph, his character, Robin. I really like her.
Yeah, she was really cool.
Yeah, she was one of those early on, like in season 3. You're like, oh, you're gonna like this character. She fit in so well with Steve. Yeah. And I like the fact that like she's not really going to be a love interest for Steve. Also, that kind of adds to that. Because I like the whole thing of like he's still hung up on Nancy type deal.
Yeah.
And maybe she's still hung up on him, but maybe not. You know, it's like one of those. It gives the opportunity for something to go on, which will make if one of them dies even sadder. Yeah. You know. But I like the fact that they didn't just go with the standard trope of like, well, this is going to be Steve's new love interest. And it's like the idea of like, nope, that can't possibly happen because she's a lesbian. It's like, I was fine with that. You know, I thought that was kind of cool. It just changed things up, you know.
And the back you want Steve awesome. To succeed, but he's not going to quite get there. Or maybe he's going to get there at the very end. But right now he's going to continue to fuck up.
Yep. But he's going to try.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he's like, I'm going down there. I'm going to dive into this freaking ocean. God knows what I'm going. You know, not ocean, lake, or whatever. But you know what I mean. It's like, he's going in there for God knows what. So he's just going to go. It's like, I'll do it.
Go get the biggest fish, okay?
Yep, the biggest fish. He's going to come out holding it up over his head like Link. But yeah, that's like him when they were getting the shit beat out by the Russians and they've been drugged, you know. And it's like, and they come back and they're watching Back to the Future in the theater. It was so goddamn 80s themed. It was freaking awesome, you know. They're sitting there basically high as hell, like watching Back to the Future. And I was like, this is pretty funny. I think that guy was about to have sex with his mom. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. I've only seen season 2 like once, but I've seen season 1 like 4 or 5 times, and I've seen season 3 twice. Of course, I've only seen season 4 once. So just figure that's like watching Lord of the Realm Marines right there.
Yeah, you know, kidding. That's this extended cut. Yeah. And that's like with season 2. I have watched every episode of season 2 one time, and I've watched that season finale probably like 3 times. I thought it was a great season finale because it ends on an upper note, but at the same time, like, not really. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell, like, oh, shit's not over. But for them, at the moment, it was like things were cool, you know, minus Bob getting killed. But Bob was a character I could kind of live without. I mean, he was there as a placeholder. But, you know.
Yeah, I think it was kind of a chance for Will to have a dad that wasn't a piece of shit, but he didn't keep it for very long. But, you know.
Yeah. It gave Joyce a reason not to immediately start dating Hopper. Because clearly, you could, even in season 1, it's like, them two going to end up together. And you can't do that in season 2. It's like, you can't blow your load. You got to stretch that shit out. And it made it when they got back together in season 4 even better because it was like, you know, he was still alive, and he had lost a lot of weight, and she giving him shit because he was hungry.
As a fan audience, we're waiting for season 4, and he's like, "This guy's been in Russia for fucking years, man."
Oh yeah, fucking crazy. But it was, and that was the thing. Is like I was, what I was almost expecting for season 4 though. I was thinking they were going to find out that portal down underneath the mall was like a wormhole that would bring you to like certain parts of the world, and they were going to end up. That's how he ended up there.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking, because I was like, well, clearly he's in Russia, and it's like I was wondering if it was one of those he either jumped into the portal before it closed, or he got blasted into the portal and ended up in the Upside Down. And then when he ended up coming out, it was like, what the fuck am I doing in Russia? Or he ran into some Russian troops in the Upside Down, because clearly they were experimenting in the Upside Down. Of like, and that's how, like, there would be some type of wormhole, because you could almost buy the theory of like, you go in one place and you come out another. Kind of like, what was that movie, Little Monsters with Fred Savage, where they'd go up underneath the bed and you go down the hallway and they'd come up in somebody else's fucking bed, like underneath it, shit type deal.
No, just that the Russians had just infiltrated the mall, man, and you gotta fucking.
That's how they got there.
You got the puzzle to solve in the mall, the Nancy Drew puzzle. You gotta.
That fucking mall was like, I remember like watching that with my daughter, and I was like, that's what it used to fucking be like. Because you go to malls now and they're fucking just shit.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's for real. Like the 80s mall, man, it was like a fucking it was like a damn, it was a fucking awesome, amusement park ride of going to the fucking mall. It's like you didn't know what you're gonna fucking find. Damn KB toy store would have shit you never seen before.
Cookies.
It fucking cookies, man. You'd be like, oh my god, Orange fucking Julius. Like the only place you could ever get one is at the fucking mall. It's like you just go in KB Toys and it'd be like, oh my god, they got toys I've never seen before, and they're in the clearance bin, like they're just throwing them the fuck away. I've never seen this fucking toy before. Let me get this fucking Gamecom.
As a pro grocer, I lost my mind when they went into the grocery store in season 3
convenience store
with the freaking Mr. T cereal and shit, all the authentic shit, or the 80s Cokes, or just the 80s Doritos. Freaking product placement, man. You're losing your mind because they're using the actual 80s labels. This is when they really started getting the labels. This is the ones I remember, man.
Yeah, the ones that you couldn't help but see.
For me, that was your OG. So,
and the thing was they didn't cheap out, and we're like, oh man, we're going to have, like, instead of Marlboros, you have the Walbros or whatever. It was like they legit had, like, fucking brands and shit. It was awesome.
Yeah. It just throwback, and the music, and pulling from the themes and stuff from the 80s movies and stuff is just what really drives that home. It's just you're watching this throwback shit, and it's intentional, and it's good, and it's not just cheesy crap. But overall, I'm hyped for number 5, but I can wait too. I'm not gonna lose my mind. But now I'll sit there and think about, well, why the hell is it stuck in 1982 now? Why is the Upside Down stuck in 1982? We'll find out in season 5.
Or does time just move really, really slow in the Upside Down?
I don't know. I don't know. They left that open. They throw that in there where you're like, huh, that's weird.
Yeah, and then you'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a nice little thing of like, yeah, we can go fucking get guns. It's like, of course, I would have went to a fucking police station instead of her house, but
yeah,
is what it is. It's kind of like if you overanalyze it, like Eddie's whole scene with the Master of Puppets, which I thought was hilarious because like people legit online were like, he's going to be playing Master of Puppets, and I was like, yeah, that song came out about that time. What was it, 86 or whatever? But people were like, they had literally taken slow still pictures of the trailer, and they're like, his fucking hands were playing Master of Puppets. So as soon as that kicked in, I was like, they were fucking right, man. They nailed that shit. And this is like an ex-guitar player being like, I mean, yeah, it could be fucking anything because he's fucking playing. But I was like, yeah, I can see how it could be Master of Puppets. And I was like, it fit. But at the same time, part of me was like, why didn't they just take a fucking tape recorder and plug audio into that fucking amplifier.
But then the bats,
Turned it off.
You can't play guitar against the bats, all right?
I would have turned that shit on and walked away. You know, it just, or I would have started a big ass fire. You know, something. Just be like, it's like, where'd they get the fucking electricity? But you know, it's the upside down. They need to sell light brights, and they did. They sold lots of light brights. They had a fucking Stranger Things light bright. Yeah, I was asking my wife. She's like, they have a Stranger Things light bright, and I'm like, yeah, you seen season 4? And she's like, part of it. And I'm like, you ain't seen all of it then, because you know what the fucking light bright is about. But yeah, the marketing has been, and that's one thing I noticed first before I even watched season 3. I'm like, damn, there's Stranger Things shit everywhere. It's like I have to watch this one day. But it's like for people our age, it really is kind of cool. And 80s really is kind of coming around where it's like even young kids, like my daughter's like 17. She thinks all that shit's cool. You know, she's got vinyl records on the fucking wall of bands she's never listened to. You know, she's got a fucking Poison t-shirt. She couldn't name one Poison song. She put a gun to her head. But, you know, it's the 80s. It's freaking the 80s. Now they're going to have to come back. Everything's new again, though, you know, when you think about it. I think it was the 70s show's coming back of that 90s show or something now. I forget.
Well, I can't wait for season 5. I think we'll probably end it here. When season 5 comes out, we'll come back and do a follow-up.
We'll be old fucking dead with our walkers. It's like
back in my day, we was only on podcast number 29.
Now we're on podcast number 32. It's like back when I started watching it, they mailed it to me in the fucking mail. And now it just comes on my phone. She's on my eye goggles. That's what we'll do. If season 5 comes out, we'll fucking damn Oculus Quest that shit. In the fucking what is it? The damn the
metaverse.
The meta. We'll be watching it in the metaverse. You know.
Yeah, in real time. I don't think so. The metaverse will be done by the time season 5 comes out because it'll crash and burn.
It really is entertaining, though, to watch things. Somebody had posted online of, like, we have literally gotten, like, 2 seasons of Mandalorian and gone through the entire Baby Yoda shit in between season 3 and 4 of Stranger Things. And it's like, my God, that's right. That wasn't even a fucking thing back then.
Yeah, well, I think that other than it being long as shit, season 4 was great, so.
Yeah, I loved it. It's just, I thought they could have trimmed it down. It was... It less is more sometimes, but at the same time, I get it.
Yeah.
It's like you had a lot of shit. Show it all. The biggest dickus.
Well, I think we'll end it there.